National Football League selection meeting is now in session. First choice in the first round, New England Patriots.
See how long it takes.
This is the big question of the day. Will it be under 30 seconds before the card gets up to the commissioner on Ken
NFL
Sims?
draft was held from April 27th.
Incidentally, Howard Balzer and Paul Zimmerman have made their picks. They match up on 5 of the 27 first picks. One of them is Ken Sims.
Patriots selection. New England selects first round Ken Sims, defensive end, Texas. Next up, Baltimore.
Here comes Ken now.
This is the fastest, or one of the fastest times that the first overall pick was selected in the NFL draft in NFL history.
He's even bigger than Pete Rozelle. That's a surprise.
Big number 77. We told you that was his number at Texas. And when we talked to him 2 months ago, we asked him, where do you think you're going? He said, I think I'm going to the Pats because they sent me a bunch of T-shirts and they told me that they've already reserved 77 for me. And there you see the uni right there, Howard.
And I guess the only one upset with that is one of the Patriots' reserve offensive linemen, Gary Petz, has been wearing 77 the last few years. I guess they'll have to give it up.
The Patriots are hopeful that he will do what Joe Green did
for the media,
Pittsburgh Steelers back in '69
to
anchor their defensive front wall.
Immediately after he's finished with the photographers here. That's on the mezzanine level.
Ken is an individual that is very well at ease with people. He's a personable young man. He's not outgoing from the perspective of being overbearing, but he is very calm and well going with people.
He seems to be smiling very nicely.
Thank you, George. Certainly not a surprise. It would have been a major surprise had Ken Sims not been selected. And you pointed out, George, the question, is it Kenneth, is it Kenny? It is Ken Sims. So it is Ken Sims wearing number 77. And number 77 he shall wear, as he did wear with the Texas Longhorns when he wreaked havoc on offensive lines. And we'll take a look at him in action. And again, Paul, as an old defender yourself, you can appreciate the artistry of this man.
Well, you take a look at him. He squares himself up very well. And you're going to see further down the line where he just takes the blocker and stands the blocker up. All right, now he moves himself towards the hole, and he's just got great upper body strength and great leg strength. Now here he comes in and causes a fumble. Then this last sequence, you're going to see what I'm talking about, his lateral movement. Take a look at it. They're blocking down on him. There's 3 guys that really had a shot at him, and he ends up getting the ball carrier.
Now, there was talk about his leg. He did break his leg late in the year. He also damaged some ankle ligaments, but if you can say that there was a blessing, it was, but that it was a clean break. As we spoke about last night, his leg is very much examined. Everyone has looked at it. Let's go back now to New York City.
And just look out next year, the rest of you fellas.
Sims,
all right, for the media,
just a brief address. In fact, we say brief was no more than 10 seconds. As Sims has been the #1 pick. A little bit later on, we'll have a chance to sit down and talk with him and ask him about his future with the Patriots.
The Baltimore Colts, first round selection. Johnny Cooks, linebacker, Mississippi State. Next up, the Cleveland Browns. New Orleans does not have a first-round selection, having used it in the supplemental draft last summer. Take Dave Wilson. So next up is Cleveland Browns on the first round.
You two gentlemen are 2 for 2 so far. Let's take a look at that while we can, because Cooks goes, and as a linebacker, regarded as the best this year, and as an individual who can help to turn this club around defensively. They could have gone any way because they needed so many athletes.
I think they project him inside or possibly outside. They feel that he could go outside, and that's what they want, that two-way shot. I gave them Gerald Riggs, the fullback, not through any intelligence on my part, but because that's what they said. I think when I talked to them, they already had that Cousineau deal solid. I couldn't understand why they didn't want to go for defense, and I kept trying to change their mind, but they wouldn't listen to me. And they feel that Riggs, as others do at this point, is the best runner in the draft, best running back in the draft. His stock has really shot up in the last couple of weeks.
You had them picking Riggs. Howard, you had them picking Hancock, the wide receiver of Tennessee.
That's right. While Riggs is a great runner, there's no doubt about it, the Browns still have some pretty good running backs on the roster. Mike Pruitt still does a good job. They say they might give a chance to Charles White this year. I figure they need more of a big play wide receiver. That was my thinking behind Hancock. Reggie Rucker is getting old. Dave Logan, an excellent receiver, but he's more in the possession type receiver like a Dwight Clark. I think Hancock overall might do more for their offense than a guy like Riggs. But of course, as we all know with these drafts, we're just guessing along with everyone, and anything can happen. Just because they couldn't decide. So this year it looks like they're going to get it in well underway, and we'll see who it is.
I think this is Sam Retigliano's pick. It's not Bill Davis's pick. This is Sam's own choice. The guy he personally scouted.
Here's the commissioner.
Cleveland Browns. Cleveland selects as their first choice Chip Banks, linebacker, Southern California.
Okay, this is where it all starts. They get Cousineau, and they still go with Chip Banks.
We were talking about that yesterday.
Linebacker.
We were talking about that yesterday, saying it would be an intelligent pick to take a guy like Banks. They had Cousineau, put him on the inside, add a guy like Banks to put on the outside, and you've done a heck of a good job of improving your defense.
You know, 2 weeks ago, Jim Garrett.
Let's go back to the commissioner.
Has signed quarterback Burt Jones and traded him to Los Angeles for the Rams' first choice in this draft, which is the upcoming choice, the 4th pick in the first round, and the Rams' second choice in this draft. So Burt Jones is traded by the Colts to Los Angeles. The Colts now pick on the first round choice of the Rams, Baltimore.
Hold on, which was the second choice? He means second round?
I believe he meant the second choice. Let's see if he'll clarify that, because the Rams have 2 first-round choices. And this is the debate that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, because the Rams did not want to give away their first pick. Let's hear what the commissioner has to say.
All right, again, on the Baltimore trade. Baltimore signs and trades Burt Jones and trades him to the Rams for the Rams' first-round choice in this draft, 4th pick in the first round, now upcoming, and the Rams' second-round choice in this draft.
Okay, that clarifies it, because the debate that had been going on for the last 3 weeks, the deal was signed, sealed, and delivered. The only question mark was, would the Rams give up their top choice or their second pick in the first round? The Rams didn't want to give up that top pick. They have now to Baltimore, so the question goes to the Colts now instead of the Rams. The 3rd pick so far this draft, the Patriots take Sims, Baltimore takes Cooks, Cleveland takes Chip Banks, and now Los Angeles, in their deal, gives their pick to the Baltimore Colts, so the Colts will be up next time around.
And also they're given their early pick in the second round, which was the 34th player. The Rams had two picks on the second round also, the second one being the 44th player, so they gave up their early pick on the second round also to get Jones. And now Baltimore sitting there will pick now and also have 2 early round selections in round 2, and they can go for more defense.
Zim, this was the trade that you picked in Sports Illustrated last week.
Well, you know, if I would have had a little more time to talk before the show, I would have announced very authoritatively that the trade is dead. Because I got it on good authority very early this morning that you can forget about that trade. The authority was just about as good as the one that gave me Gerald Riggs for Cleveland.
Now is it Schleister or McMahon? That's the question,
Schleister.
I guess.
Okay, there's your Colts table now as we await the situation involving Baltimore. Marty Hesher and Rex Patterson, the equipment managers, they're getting the word from Frank Cush and company on their pick now. So again, the Rams started this day with 2 picks on the first round, the number 4 pick and the number 14 pick. They will still have the number 14, but they give up this pick, now owned by Baltimore, and they also give up their second-round pick.
Of Los Angeles that goes to Baltimore is pick number 7 in round 2. Los Angeles' choice.
Okay. The reason why they're mentioning that is that the Rams had 2 second-round picks. The first one, the earlier one, is from the Capoletti deal with San Diego, so the Rams still will have a second-round pick, but the number 7 pick in the second round will go to Baltimore. So the Colts will be in a situation where they get this pick, they get their pick already with Cooks, so they get 2 of the first 4 selections for Frank Cush.
They haven't announced it, but I think Dominic Frontieri also has to throw in 2 saxophone players.
The interesting thing is the 3rd year in succession that the Colts have had 2 number 1 picks. In 1979, They picked Derek Hatchett and Curtis Dickey in the first round. Last year they picked Randy McMillan and Donnell Thompson. And here again they'll have 2 picks on the first round. And of course, as we were saying earlier, 2 early picks on the second round to boot, 4 years.
Okay, there you see the pick is just about ready to come up in the left-hand corner of your screen. The time remaining on their 15-minute allotment. This is the Baltimore Colts' second pick of this first round. In case you're joining us late, first pick, Ken Sims. New England, as expected. Second pick, Baltimore picks Johnny Cooks, the linebacker. Cleveland then takes Chip Banks of USC. And after that, Los Angeles has picked up in a trade with Baltimore. They've swapped their position, so Baltimore has the pick, and we're waiting for the commissioner to announce the Colts pick.
Baltimore Colts select in the Rams spot on the first round quarterback Art Schlichter of Ohio State. Next up, Chicago Bears.
All right, so the question is answered as we expected in our discussion over the last couple of minutes. It is Schlichter going to the Baltimore Colts. So the Colts have gotten 2 already, Cooks and Schlichter. We'll be back.
And I guess the question is his eye, number 1, and his knee is the other question. But the fact that this man was in a pro set all the years, and the ability to read defenses, which we saw down at the Senior Bowl, he could do very well. He had a poor game at the Senior Bowl, let me say that.
He had some receivers that didn't know when the ball was going to be up,
That's exactly right. They didn't know where the ball was. But he is an excellent thrower. The thing I think about Schlichter, the durability factor, he started all 4 years and did not miss a game as a starter. And I think that is one of the things that Cush took into consideration.
Well, he is the selection made by Baltimore by virtue of that deal with Los Angeles. Again, we are awaiting Chicago's pick.
More teams is going to the air, and the tight end is playing a lot more part in the passing part of the game. And they're looking for tight ends that are fast and that can take them deep and go deep and catch deep passes. And I think I have adequate speed. I think I'm a fast person for my size and weight, and I think I can take them deep. And I think I'm the type tight end they're looking for this year.
New York quickly.
Chicago Bears. Bears first round selection.
Riggs.
JimMcMahon, quarterback, Brigham Young.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Next up, Seattle.
JimMcMahon, the quarterback from Brigham Young University, the architect of 55 career NCAA records, 55 different records all told, the selection of the Chicago Bears. And now the question is, where do we go from here with the other situation as we look at this first round? This is what we talked about all last night, because the domino effect really now is in effect. You're going to have a bumping situation all the way through this first round.
Yeah, it's the bump and run theory. No, what has happened is that Riggs, who was projected to have been gone, is now available. So Seattle is going to have to reorient its thinking. Do they want the big fullback, or do they want the offensive lineman, who they seem to indicate they wanted? Now, their running back situation was pretty good at the end of last year. Theodis Brown, Sherm Smith, they had runners, and I talked to Jack Pateri, and he said that they liked their running situation, and he would go for the offensive lineman, but, you know, maybe he didn't think of Gerald Riggs would be there.
Great. Now I'm about 95%. Hopefully we have a mini camp May 10th. Hopefully I'll be 100% by then.
How do you suppose you will enjoy being a professional?
Well, defensive end is going to give me an opportunity to do something that I've always wanted to do, and as long as I'm enjoying football, I'll always play. So at defensive end, I'm getting a chance to do some things that I've always wanted to do, and it gives New England an opportunity to add to the sack list also.
Can you really bench press 400 pounds?
Yeah, I've gotten up there since I came in. When I originally came into Texas, I was about 235. I was a lot of brute strength, but no weight strength. And with Dana LeDuc at Texas over the past 4 years, he's helped me, push me a great deal, and now I'm really happy that he did.
Have you likened your style of play to anybody in the NFL we may have seen?
Well, I like the finesse and style of Harvey Martin. Hopefully someday, if I can be as prolific a pass rusher as he is, I think I might help New England a great deal.
We've also heard that you have tremendous leadership qualities.
Well, hopefully I'm just going to go in kind of, and they got some guys there in New England like McGee and Bishop and guys like that who know a great deal about pass rushing and great football players. Hopefully I can go in there and blend in with those guys and we can get a decent sack rush going.
Kenny, this is your chance to say hello to Kasi, Texas.
Well, I just want to say hello, Mom, and hang in there, BJ. You'll be going, buddy.
Okay. Kenny Sims, the top pick in the NFL draft from the Texas Longhorns. As Coach Fred Akers said, he's a 20-footer. All you have to do is look at 20 feet of film, and you know that he's a blue chipper.
Well, I would like to go to a ball club and help the ball club as early in my career as possible. And, you know, by the time I'm through playing, I want to be the best that's played the game. And you know, I'm going to keep striving for that. And I just hope I don't get injured along the way.
The injury factor is something to continue to consider. He was there first, Paul, and then he sat out a year, and that was the year, of course, that brought another quarterback to the fore at BYU. And then he came back, McMahon did, and had the great senior year.
Now, I'll tell you one thing interesting about him. He dropped out of school.
That's right.
The second half of the season, mainly to work on his passing and getting his skills back. He's the kind of guy, when I talked to him down in Mobile, Alabama, he said that I love football. He said, it's 12 months out of the year for me. It's not a job. It's a lot of fun. And he said, all I want to do is continue playing football for as long as I possibly can, as he said in that film right there, without injury.
He said right back to New York as we await the selection now by the Seattle Seahawks in round 1.
It's ridiculous, I know.
Thanks, Bob. We're waiting on the Seattle Seahawks. As you can see, just about 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes remaining on their 15-minute allotted segment to make their pick on the first round. Why are they waiting so long? Gentlemen?
Well, either they're trying to work some sort of a trade, which I never heard anything about, or Riggs, the prospect of Riggs being there entices them. I and a lot of other people had Munchak projected too, Mike Munchak, the guard from Penn State. But, you know, we've been wrong before.
You both went with the offensive lineman. You picked Munchak, and Howard, you picked his teammate, Sean Farrell from Penn State, in your mock draft coming in.
I picked Farrell because I had Munchak going already, so Paul's a lot hotter than me so far in the early picks of the draft, but I had him going for the offensive lineman. But Seattle historically always takes a lot of time with their first-round pick. They always surprise a lot of people. Last year, everyone expected them to take Hugh Green, and they ended up taking Kenny easily. They surprised all through the draft. If you recall, in the second round, they stunned everyone with the pick of David Hughes as a fullback. Because of that pick of Hughes, he was injured a bit last year, so you wonder if they would go for Riggs because they have Hughes. But they've always taken a lot of time and always made things difficult for the teams picking after him. Because
I think they have that choice, and that's what they're thinking of if they're not trying to trade it.
Or will they trade? Yeah, I was just gonna say, or will they trade it as they did last year when no one expected them to, and they traded it to Baltimore for a couple of second-round picks. Maybe they're gonna make another deal with Baltimore for their 2 second-rounders. I doubt it, but you never know.
That's Don Weiss of the National Football League delivering the mail to NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle with the Seattle Seahawks pick on the first round, their first-round pick.
Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's first-round selection, defensive end Jeff Bryant of Clemson.
I can't believe it. They could have gotten him in the second round.
Well, that's why historically.
Minnesota
Vikings. Call them Seahawks.
Oh.
You can hear the fans in the background reacting to that one. A surprise, our first so far. Jeff Bryant of Clemson, the defensive end, selected by the Seahawks. Minnesota is up next. We'll be back with more after this.
We have just had our first surprise of the draft as the Seattle Seahawks selected defensive end out of Clemson, Jeff Bryant, as their first-round selection. If you were not with us earlier, there was a trade. The Baltimore-LA trade did go down. Quarterback Burt Jones traded to Los Angeles in return for the Rams' first pick in the first round of the draft, with which Art Schlichter was selected.
Commissioner Pete Rozelle. This is the Minnesota pick. This is Don Weiss.
Minnesota's first-round selection, Darren Nelson, running back, Stanford. Houston is up.
Mike Lynn didn't lie.
Houston is next. I imagine the groan you could hear from San Francisco was from Bill Walsh because he wanted Darren Nelson very badly, but he is not going to get him because he's taken by Minnesota. Darren Nelson of Stanford goes to Minnesota. Next up is Houston. ESPN's live and exclusive coverage of the...
You don't have to think about Moransky.
All right, we're standing by for the Houston pick on the first round. The Houston Oilers up next. And when you look at Houston, you look back and realize that this is their first-round selection since the year 1978 when they took Earl Campbell. Dave Sullivan is standing by with an update on exactly how the Houston drafts have gone in years past. There you see the Houston table as they're getting ready to name their pick.
Rick Munchak, guard, Penn State. Atlanta Falcons are up.
The Atlanta Falcons up next, and the first of what is expected to be back-to-back picks in the early going involving Penn State athletes. Mike Munchak, the great offensive lineman from Penn State, along with Sean Farrell, regarded almost identically, Howard, as the two top offensive linemen coming in. Especially since we started to do the draft, a couple of folks have gotten in trouble as they've gone down to the wire.
That's right.
What are they thinking right now?
Atlanta is thinking about, do they want to go for need, or do they want to go for a blue chip running back, or they're thinking about something that I haven't mentioned?
Howard?
I would say pretty much what Paul said.
Something he hadn't mentioned.
Right.
They could be thinking about something else.
A lot of people have projected Glenn Collins. They're thinking a lot of things right now. Maybe they're, again, you never know if they might be talking about a possible trade. The Falcons, they'd like to upgrade that defense, certainly. There's talk that Joel Williams, his knee really hasn't responded to the rehabilitation. So, but as Paul said earlier, I don't think there's a linebacker out there right now that's worthy of that pick. But then again, we didn't think that Jeff Bryant was worthy of the 6th pick in the draft. So,
I had 5 names penciled in for them in order: Banks, Nelson, Abercrombie, Cooks, and Munchak. All are gone but Abercrombie.
Okay.
So if this little sheet of mine is accurate, they'll pick him. But I don't know.
Let's go ahead. One more pick. We're waiting on Atlanta. Next up,
Kenneth Sims was both a DN and a defensive tackle when he entered the National Football
running backs, Marcusallen and Walter Abercrombie, as being their possible picks. If Abercrombie goes here, obviously he would not go for Oakland, but the running backs are still very much available at this point in the draft. Is that something that surprises you?
I think they have to look at 2 positions. They have to look at Abercrombie-Allen, if available, and they have to look at Anthony Hancock, the best wide receiver on the board. You know how much Al Davis loves that wide-open passing attack, speed. He wants people to get deep. He's got a young quarterback that needs confidence. Cliff Branch is getting
Early
a little
picks
older,
in the first round of this draft include Kenneth Sims, Johnny Cooks, Chip Banks, Art Schlichter, and JimMcMahon. These players named being the first 5 picks in the 1982 NFL draft.
Atlanta Falcons first-round choice. Running back, Gerald Riggs of Arizona State.
Okay.
Next up, the Oakland Raiders.
Gerald Riggs selected by the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, the Oakland Raiders. Will they go with wide receiver? Will they go with running back? We'll find out.
We continue with our coverage of the 82 NFL Draft. With us is Commissioner Pete Rozelle, who continues to crisscross around the United States, mainly between New York and Los Angeles, for that antitrust suit brought out by the Oakland Raiders and the L.A. Coliseum. First of all, we now have in the NFL draft, and because of the trade today, we have a new quarterback in Los Angeles, Burt Jones. We have a new quarterback in Baltimore, Art Schlichter, and a new quarterback in Chicago in JimMcMahon. Obviously, this revitalizes the interest in the game.
It really will, certainly in Los Angeles, and I think in Baltimore, Art Schlichter of Ohio State is going to be a big name there. Burt Jones, of course, a veteran going into Los Angeles, will certainly help them.
In the involvement of the NFL draft, obviously now a lot of people really take it so seriously. They spend months preparing for it, and they're not even involved as professionals. The league obviously has to be enhanced by this.
We are. I think it's a tremendous thing. You had kids here this morning. We started, 10 o'clock New York time, and we had boys waiting outside. I think afraid some of them might have cut school. 6 o'clock in the morning, waiting to get in. And we just can't accommodate all of them, but we have these so-called draftniks each year, and they're very knowledgeable.
Well, Pete, I understand you're going back to Los Angeles.
Yes, I'll be returning later this week.
And coincidentally, the next pick, the Oakland Raiders.
That's the next one up. Oakland's next.
Do you have any comment?
No, they do pretty well usually in the draft, and I imagine they'll come up with a good one here.
Okay, the word is they're looking for a running back. Gerald Riggs just went to Atlanta. Perhaps it might be Walter Abercrombie, but that's speculation. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Sal.
Okay. Thank you, George. Mr. Sullivan, Ron Meyer, your coach.
My name is Bill. I'll call you
Bill.
Mr. Marciano.
You call me Sal.
All right. Okay.
I would assume that Ron Meyer, of course, had a lot to do with the selection of Kenny Sims.
Well, he did in the sense that he was very high on him, but the fact of the matter is that the draft was run in our operation by Dick Steinberg. It turned out he wanted him, and he leans rather heavily on Bucko Kilroy, our general manager, who's been in the NFL 39 years, and all three had him #1 on their hit parade. So, but Ron, the day we hired him, asked questions about how much importance we lent to the draft, and we said it's our whole theory. We're not people that try to build through trades, and Dick Steinberg and Bucko are very committed to building through the draft. And he said, well, since you have the first-round pick, how do you fellas feel? And we said, well, our fellas like Sims, and that just sent him into ecstasy. He said, so do I. And he said, how intent are you on signing him? Have you considered trading him? We said no, and he said, would you? And I said, no, we wouldn't. And he said, have you had any real big offers? I said, well, we had one that I don't know the exact number, but if I were to put a cash figure on it, I'd say it was $2.5 million.
Wow.
He said, you did? I said, yes. And he said, how long did it take you to turn it down? I said, about 1 second. I said, I told the fellow we can't put $2.5 million or whatever the number. The reason I think that was the number is that Bob Irsay, during the season, the Baltimore owner, near the end of the year, when it looked as if Baltimore would get the first-round pick, said he'd been offered $2.5 million cash for the first-round pick. And, you know, I read the story. I didn't pay much attention to it because I just thought, you know, maybe what he's talking about is players that are worth $2.5 million. I didn't think it was a cash deal. Day of the final game of the season, we played Baltimore. We got the dubious distinction of picking first, at which point Bob Irsay said to my son, I was at the game, but I wasn't talking to Bob. I didn't happen to see him at the end of the game, and he said, if your father wants to get a pretty good check from someone, he said, this is a phone number. And the phone number belonged to Jack Kent Cook of the Washington Redskins.
Excuse me just a second, Mr. Sullivan, or Bill, I should say. We have our next selection from Oakland. We'll continue in just a moment.
The Oakland Raiders. Oakland's first-round selection, running back, Marcus Allen of USC. Next up, St. Louis.
Okay, Bob, thank you very much. The joke out here at Redwood City is the Oakland Raiders would have liked to pick the Los Angeles Coliseum. They couldn't do that. They got a guy that plays ball down there, and Marcus Allen from USC, the Heisman Trophy winner. With me is Don Klein from KCBS, the voice of the 49ers, but also a Raider watcher as well. And I guess that's the Raiders anticipated that they might be able to get Allen, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise.
Really no surprise, Chris. Marcus Allen is a running back that Tom Flores has respected. He said just last week, as a matter of fact, you can't have too many running backs. Mark Van Egan is coming off an injury. There's a question mark, and I think as long as there was this kind of talent available, there's no question the Raiders would go for the running back, and they had much in the same thinking as the 49ers.
A lot of people knew that Allen would go to the Raiders, and why do they wait so long? Is that Al Davis paused for dramatic effect once again?
Well, it's a case of, in this case, you have 3 running backs taken. Darren Nelson, of course. I think there'll still be some speculation, had Darren Nelson been available, whether the Raiders would have taken him rather than Marcus Allen. That's, of course, a moot question now. Darren has a big following here in the Bay Area, and I know, of course, Bill Walsh would love to have had him, but picking too late in the draft to get him.
Yeah, I know Darren Nelson, Bill, because he couldn't trade up, knew that he wouldn't get Darren Nelson, he wouldn't get Marcus Allen, but he had to turn just a little bit when Nelson and Allen were gone. So the 49ers still have a shot at one of their running backs. Not too many have gone. Let's go back now to Bristol and Bob Lee.
Houston took Mike Munchak, Atlanta took Gerald Riggs, and Oakland took Marcus Allen. The clock winds down.
They're waiting. They just gave the phone to someone else. They gave the phone to someone else.
Steelers got their card ready. The Steelers are going to take Farrell. Watch it.
This is the St. Louis desk right now.
And someone else is taking the Cardinals' phone. 10 seconds to go, so it looks that way.
That's Joel Bussert, who is standing by. When he comes to the table, that means there is a trade going on. So when Bussert, who came down from the NFL desk to here, it means that they're trying to figure out what picks are being traded.
They've traded Larry Wilson for the fishing editor of the Minneapolis Tribune.
Pittsburgh said they passed. They passed. They didn't make a trade. They passed, I think.
Well, let's see.
He just said Pittsburgh up. He just said Pittsburgh up, and they didn't announce a trade.
Well, wait a second, because that Bussert will tell whether or not they were under the time limit when he was on the phone. That's Bussert's decision. We'll see what happens, if they do pass or if there was a deal worked out before that time limit expired.
Repercussions of this are going to be felt in Europe.
That's Don
The
Weiss.
interesting thing is there's been a couple Cardinal veterans, Pat Tilley and Ken Green, who have asked to be traded. But of course, the Cardinals would stand to get something from this, and I don't know what Pittsburgh really has. They don't have extra picks to offer. For the
You'd
most
figure
part.
if they trade, they'd want to trade up, not trade down.
Exactly.
At this position.
Although if it's only one choice, just have to wait and see. There we go. We'll get to that.
And this is the choice. All right, we have a trade.
Oh, there is a trade.
St. Louis and Kansas City have swapped first-round choices.
Kansas City can take Hancock.
And Kansas City has also given St. Louis its third pick in this draft. And with St. Louis's choice, Kansas City selects Anthony Hancock, wide receiver, Arizona State.
Well, that's wide receiver of Tennessee, not of Arizona State, Anthony Hancock.
First-round choice of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It should be Arizona State.
Walter Abercrombie, running back, Baylor.
It's 5-4 now.
New Orleans is up.
All right, there you have it. To recap exactly where we stand right now, to recap this, St. Louis.
Repeating that trade, Kansas City and St. Louis.
When they rated him so highly.
Jim Stieg hands the card.
It might be Tuttle, but it'll probably be Farrell.
New Orleans, on a choice from Green Bay through San Diego, selects Lindsey Scott, wide receiver, Georgia. Los Angeles is up on a choice from Washington.
Okay, let's go back for some reaction
Anthony Hancock,
to
of
our
course, is from Tennessee.
ESPN studio.
Coach Major's philosophy is, you know, the little things. And throughout these training camps, when I was these postseason ball games, I catch the ball and turn the field. And it's just the little bitty things that, you know, you do with the football after you catch it and so forth that you learn in college.
Could be a running back.
Los Angeles in the first round on a choice from Washington has selected Barry Redden, running back, Richmond.
There you have it. Barry
Detroit is
Redden,
up
selected
with
by the Los Angeles Rams. We'll tell you about his outstanding statistics.
Detroit's first-round selection, Jimmy Williams, linebacker, Nebraska. St. Louis is up on a choice from Kansas City.
Thanks, gentlemen. We are waiting on the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's Don Weiss.
St. Louis on a choice from Kansas City selects Lewis Sharp, tackle, UCLA. Tampa Bay is up, followed by the New York Giants.
Here's Don Weiss.
Tampa Bay selects on the first round Sean Farrell, guard, Penn State. New York Giants are up.
You had a win on one of those, Jim.
I figured.
The guard out of Penn State, the fellow who Kurt Warner, the great running back of Penn State, called the dirt man. He called everybody who worked in front of him the dirt people, and he says Sean is the dirt man because he headed up the dirt people. Now, up in the stands, you can hear the fans are yelling Butch, 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 because they want Woolfolk. Sal Marciano is there as the Giants are up next with their pick. Sal.
New York Giants, first round selection, Butch Woolfolk, running back, Michigan.
And so a cheer goes up from the balcony. Butch Woolfolk is indeed a new running back for the Giants, giving him their first outside threat since I believe Ron Johnson was also from Michigan.
That's right. I agree with you. I think it's a great pick. I really do. I think that it'll help Carpenter, and I think it'll help their whole offense. I think it's...
With Kevin Walsh. Let's see, maybe there might be something cooking. Maybe they're just sending out for sandwiches.
Maybe it's a train.
Here's the commissioner.
Denver and Buffalo have made a trade. They will swap first-round choices, which means that Buffalo is up now, and Denver will draft in Buffalo's position, the 22nd position. Also, Denver will get Buffalo's fourth-round pick in this draft. Swap first choices, and Denver gets Buffalo's fourth pick in this draft. So, picking in place of Denver, Buffalo selects Perry Tuttle, wide receiver, Clemson. Philadelphia Eagles next.
Okay, there are some Eagle fans here, and the crowd noise you heard in the background, there's Kevin Walsh from the Buffalo Bills desk.
Made their choice And we'll have the announcement coming right up.
Philadelphia Eagles first-round selection, Mike Quick, wide receiver, North Carolina State.
Okay, back here at the balcony.
On a choice from Buffalo.
Eric.
Of this National Football League draft, what do you guys think?
Gerald Wilhite,
all right.
San Jose State.
Denver has made its selection on a choice from Buffalo, Gerald Wilhite, running back, San Jose State. Green Bay is up on a choice from San Diego.
This seems to be deja vu to you. 3 years ago, you were the #1 pick by the NFL.
Yeah, I get to go to it twice. How about that?
Okay, you did not go with the Buffalo Bills. You went to the Montreal Alouettes. You played 3 years up there. Now you come back and you have signed a huge contract, we hear, with the Cleveland Browns. First of all, let me ask you about the fact that Chip Banks was selected today by the Browns. You'd be able to play with that USC linebacker.
I think it's great. We obviously need defensive help. Mr. Modell took the first step in getting me there. The second step is getting Chip. And I think
Green Bay selecting
Let's go to the podium.
On San Diego's choice due to a previous trade. 23rd pick in the first round selects offensive guard Ron Hallstrom, Iowa. Jets up. New York Jets up.
Okay, this place will be buzzing because there are lots of Jets fans here. Let me reiterate the question. What is it going to be like, do you feel, playing with Chip Banks of USC?
Like I said, we obviously need defensive help. Mr. Modell took the first step by getting me in, and obviously the second step is with a guy like Chip. He's a great player, intimidating, very big from what I hear, about 6'5", 235, so he's definitely going to be a great addition.
Wait till you hear the reaction.
New York Jets, first round selection. Linebacker, Bob Crable, Notre Dame. Next.
Where's Hoffman?
Miami picks guard, Roy Foster, USC. Next up, Dallas Cowboys.
You know Dallas, they're going to take whoever they have rated as the top player on the board, and for that reason, you never know, they could end up taking one of those offensive linemen.
The Dallas Cowboys waiting on their selection. They're right at reality.
Cowboys.
Okay.
Cowboys pick, first round, defensive back, Rod Hill, Kentucky State. Cincinnati is next.
This was one of the sleepers that we had talked about just this past week on the ESPN Sports Center, that Hill, one of those small college players who might get a chance, but even he didn't expect that he would go this high.
The Cincinnati Bengals, first round selection. Glenn Collins, defensive end, Mississippi State. Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers are up.
We await to see if, in fact, we are going to get the deal involving Russ Francis. We told you what Chris Berman had reported to us from the Bay Area, that there was...
Houston trades tight end Mike Barber and its 3rd and 8th round selections in this draft to Los Angeles for tight end Lewis Gilbert and 2 selections which the Rams had acquired earlier from other clubs.
Bill, has Russ Francis agreed to a contract with the 49ers?
In general terms, he has, yes.
What's the length of his contract?
Well,
this draft was very iconic and paved the way to what the 1980s football would look
of a duration that certainly is acceptable to both parties.
As well as
the fact that there was so thin a talent down at that position where you would be drafting necessitate almost a move like this with New England to get somebody that you knew definitely could help you?
Well, no, there were some players available when we were to pick. But we didn't have any trouble at all with Paris. He was just outstanding. We expected him to be picked the first 5 or 6 players. Now, as far as Francis is concerned, you're always looking for great talent. We've had exceptional tight end play from Charlie Young and also Eason Ramsden, but when a man of this tremendous stature is available, you always are almost obligated to do everything in your power to gain his services.
Is he excited about coming to San Francisco, Bill?
Well, I'm sure he is. As you know, the state of Hawaii has really been aligned with the San Francisco 49ers for many years, and I'm sure that is part of his real strong conviction to come to San Francisco and play. Obviously, he's, many people have said, the greatest man to play that position. And we look forward to his services, but we certainly aren't discounting Charlie Young, who's played excellent football for us.
Have you reached a contract agreement with Charles?
Well, in general terms, much like we have with Russ. We're negotiating, but we have